Hello. Can you see that early morning sun coming in through the window? I mean, early morning. It's like 10:30. So that mid-late morning sun coming in through the window. Well, early morning sun would be coming in through this window. So this is probably the earlier morning sun that you'd see coming through that window. Anyway, to continue the self-read trend, I'm going to use the book for the Starman Tarot this time too. I used it very lightly. I think the first time I got it. But I want to see what the book's about. I want to see what the book is about. Oh, excuse me. I went to sleep too early last night. Woke up too early last night. Was awake in the middle of the night for too long last night. But I did have an interesting dream. It was weird. Because I don't know what. I don't know. All I remember is the end of the dream. There was some other happenings and goings on. Oh, that's the title card. Okay. So I'm going to use the Diceology and the Starman Tarot. This deck is huge. Like, the cards are so big. Like, here's the card, right? There's my hand. So it's like, I gotta like go like that just to try to. Oh, see, these are the ones that you shuffle, or I gotta shuffle like this because what's that? The cut, the Alien, and the Three of Wands. This reminds me of the vice versa in a way, because it feels like this is behind the alien and this is in front of the alien. Like, this is what the alien sees when they step out, and that's the alien. That's what the alien's coming out of. But anyway, I have the Diceology as well. I'm glad I've been doing these self reads because apparently I've been in a pivotal. Well, December is a Two of Swords month for me, according to the Wild Unknown Wild Unknown Tarot. And who was that? Who was that? You see, look at this. Oh, it's two cards. Oh gosh! And then a card just slid off the top. Oh, no cards on the floor, please. Oh, the Wheel and Justice, 10 and 11. And then the card that fell out onto the floor was the Four of Cups. It slid off the top of the deck. What I like about this Justice card is that it's balancing the mind and the heart. Specifically. It's not putting one over the other. And maybe it's that both are required to get this wheel to move. It's almost like those, are they like trolley carts or rail carts where you got to have like two people and it's like that, the seesaw thing, and it has to go like up and down, up and down. If you only have one person on one side, then you're going to move and then you're going to stop. And you're going to be stuck there until the other side goes down and moves it further. And then you can go down and move it further. So maybe with the Four of Cups, in the past, it was like unilateral, not unilateral, but like one sided, like I do this and then I wait for something or someone else to move the other side and then I do whatever I can do and then I wait again. And so it's like slow. And oof, well, I guess the thing that was missing was the heart question mark because the heart is popping out of the void of that hand up there. So- Come for me. Or because this is how it's laid out, or justice has both the mind and the heart. And so, whatever energy you encounter the will with, justice will provide the other. Because this one only has the heart and a mind sort of probably in torment because that's all heart, no mind, or not great mind because, anguish, torment. And I feel like this justice carries a similar energy to the tension in the Two of Orbs yesterday, where it's holding them both balanced. But in the tension, there was an energy moving behind it. That could be the will. But anyway, so yeah, Friday was weird. Eight of Swords at the bottom of the deck. And then I watched Reen's Pisces reading. And I think she said I was going to record your message yesterday, but it was delayed or something like that. And I watched the video. It was what the garden beyond fear or something, going beyond your fears to reach the garden. And I feel like it was fears that surfaced that I haven't felt in a long time. And honestly, just like the presence of those fears alone would have been enough for me to just like give up, walk away, quit, do not task go, do not proceed, quickly return to a spiral of depression. Um, but this time, I guess I got to be a little bit more present. And at first, I was confused because I was like, I haven't felt something like this for a minute. Like, what is this? I was like, would it even be the same? I was like, well, I could run away and then I wouldn't even have to, whatever. I keep seeing that Eight of Swords, Eight of Swords, Eight of Cups. Oh, well, I don't mind the Eight of Cups with the Eight of Swords. But anyway, let me get the other deck because I want that one to lead. But after that, I think the second one last night, I know that the choice I want to make is to definitely um, not quit and run away. It's all about establishing new patterns and habits and ways of being for the wherever fear lives within me. Hey Cindy, how you doing? How are you? I just saw the deck of excuse me, the deck of magical correspondences yesterday, and I thought of you. I hope you're well. Okay, so Diceology. Oh, that was quick. Oh gosh. There's a card that fell out face down. I'm going to keep it face down. Six of Diamonds, Queen of Diamonds, Three of Hearts. Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Spades, which is a Ten of Swords energy. And honestly, in this area, I wouldn't mind a Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is one of my favorite cards because the Ten of Swords to me It's the end of a situation that just it does stuff to the brain and the mental space. And the Ten of Swords is like the culmination point. It's the point at which it sort of stops. Excuse me. I was like, what's happening? And I know, like, because Reem is coming out of um some stuff. And I was like, wow, like, was I on delay? I was like, is something happening? Hello? And I don't know, but I guess there's a part of me. I feel like if that part of me hadn't changed, it wouldn't have necessarily been a thought or consideration. So I feel like if a part of me hadn't changed, I wouldn't have went back 2 Wednesdays ago. I would have left. So maybe I need to give myself a little bit more credit. And this is the only way I'll find out. This is the only way I'll discover. And honestly, right before I started this, I did have the thought of like, what if I stick it out and I find out that this never had to hold me back? What if I go through with this and I find out that it was never an issue? It was always just like I made it bigger than what it was because of fear. And it's a fear that didn't have to stop me from living my life. Now, my old pattern was to have a thought like that and then not do it because I didn't want to find out that I could have been doing something that I wasn't doing the whole time. It was some weird attachment to limitation and um, bad brain health and or questionable brain health and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, well, I don't want to do this and find out that I've been depressed for whatever, no reason. Like, I owe it to my depression to like not find out that I didn't have to be depressed. And it's like, well, now I owe it to myself to discover that I no longer have to sort of fall into whatever. And it's so weird because I feel like I don't even know when the last time I was hit with a feeling like that was. I think it's also because, though, anytime it started to surface a little bit, I would just keep moving because I was never in the situation where it was directly affecting and impacting me. So I was like, I can do this now. I can do this now. I can do this now. And now it's time for me to like face the big thing. And because of all that I've done in all those now moments, I'm better prepared for it. I did still have that question though. I was like, do I even want to try? Yeah. And I'm just like, I can't think like that anymore because it's not worth it's not worth wasting any more time or life or joy or happiness or abundance or whatever. It took what it took and I'm not going to get it back. That's not enough reason for me to continue to allow it to take from me. Hello? But excuse me. That's also a perspective that I've grown into that I did not have in the past. So 2 cards flipped over, or 3 cards flipped over when I was shuffling the diceology cards. After the second 2 cards flipped over, they flipped over together. A card slid out on the table, face down. It's still face down. So the first card is where form and function align, the power of words to brighten and terraform. 55355252. And it's the 3 of hearts. So 3 5s, 4 5s, 2 3s, technically 3, technically 4, and 2 2s. Oop. Oh my gosh. All the cards are just hitting the table today. It's fine. Don't look at my scalp. It's a wrath. 555 is a 20. Or 555 is a 20, which is a 2. So then the 222 is a 6. And then 3 and 3 is a 6. So I can make that a 12, which is another 3. And then I can put that on this 3 to get 6 overall. 6 being that number of sort of like harmony and stuff like that. And this being the space where form and function align. I see it. So that card came off by itself. And then an abrupt change of season, the vision catching up to fantasy, the filling of valleys and the falling of mountains came out with the single blade that cuts through the tempest, calming the winds, a dislodged hunk of cheese. That dislodged hunk of cheese is the energy of like something that choked or suffocated something being removed. It's like a Heimlich energy. And the Heimlich was an abrupt change of season. And it feels like this energy is actually a little bit more difficult to navigate than it may seem. So I'm gonna give myself some kudos. It was like, so kudos to you, because it is a little bit more difficult. Because it is kind of sort of what I was just talking about. It's like every time that fear would kind of sort of surface, I would just continue anyway. Because I was never directly confronted with it. And in the past, I was never directly confronted with it either. But just the thought of being confronted by it or the thought of being in that situation was enough for me to not even try. This time to get over all the self-sabotage, I had to like silence it and put it to the back and put it to the back. And then I found myself not even having to worry about it. I was like, oh, I can do this. Oh my gosh. And then through events, happenings, life, now, after I am several months into whatever I'm into, now I have to confront it potentially. It still isn't even necessarily a reality. And it still doesn't have to be as bad as I fear it may be. But it's like maybe that's also the Heimlich, because the Heimlich is like these sudden pressures that force something to come out, right? So either the form or the function was stuck and it couldn't come into alignment. That's the energy of the four of cups, the wheel of fortune, and justice. Like that's when I was only doing like one-sided whatever and not putting anything in on the other side, so it couldn't go anywhere. It's like the chariot, but with one horse, or like half a horse, because the one horse that is there isn't really there. You know what I mean? The one horse that's there is like fighting itself, so it doesn't really move. But I would like, before I flip over the face down, and sometimes in the moment or to move forward, it helps to do a review of the past and to also take stock and inventory of where we are now, because we're not necessarily where we were in the past. So it's very much better than we think we are. Um, this will be for the Queen of Diamonds, Six of Diamonds. That's Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles came out with the world and The journeyman. It was the Eight of Pentacles and the World card, and then the Six of Pentacles came out with the Five of Pentacles and the Tower at the bottom of the deck. That abrupt change of season is definitely like Tower energy. The dislodged hunk of cheese, the blade that cuts through the tempest, calming the winds. That's the energy of like moving out of the Five of Pentacles. And it's funny because the word tempest, I got on Diablo yesterday and I was going to re roll my wizard for the new season. And I named him Tempest. And then I was watching some Snapchat thing a few days ago and they brought up the word Tempest. And it reminds me of the leaf caught in an eddy. So it's like to keep or to stop the leaf from getting caught. So let's do these two. Because I feel like the Three of Hearts were form and function aligned, the power of words to brighten and terraform. Maybe the power of words to brighten and terraform is the energy of the brain, the mind that was missing to balance out the heart to make things move forward. Because the mind in despair in the Four of Cups wasn't capable, at least my mind in despair with the Four of Cups, when it came to it, it wasn't capable of speaking or providing anything brighter than pitch black. So, but that's changed now. And it's interesting because it's like, I feel like whenever I was questioned externally, and that's the thing when I did the self read and the Five of Pentacles was the studio, I was like, Five of Pentacles as an external energy isn't going to do much to affect or derail me. But Five of Pentacles as an internal energy would. Because whenever I was encountered by an external force, like somebody else, it's like I was able to, I don't know if that was the Taurus in me, the stubbornness in me. I got what? Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio all in my chart. So, just stubborn. Ooh, okay. Ooh. Well, oh, is that the? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll leave this at the bottom of the deck. I guess I can leave this too. I don't have to pull these. I can mention them though. It's like whenever I was encountered by something external to me that would limit me or try to force me into something smaller, I would naturally be like no, like I'm bigger than that. I'm more capable than that. I'm able to realize more of my potential than for that to be my outcome. But whenever it came from self, I wasn't able to meet self with the same rebuttal. And without that countering the arguments that the worser side of self was making, I would just like spiral. But now, because of like actual physical events that have happened, and because of experiences that I've braved, encouraged, and healed enough to just sort of like take by default, the conversation is a lot more broad than it used to be. And I guess in that sense, in my own personal life, that's been an area of South Node Sagittarius versus North Node Gemini. Because South Node Sagittarius would go like, well, this is what we always think, this is what always happens. So, ergo, therefore, this is going to be the outcome. But North Node Gemini was all of those different experiences, all of those different things I said yes to that I kind of wanted to say no to. It's broadened my horizons beyond what the South Node Sagittarius in me is able to like accommodate for. Like it can't explain those old ways of thinking, the old fears can't explain the experiences that I've had and the joy that I found through them, and the expansion and the brightness, and sometimes the love that I found through them. And so it's like it weakens the argument. And because that argument is weaker now, Friday, when I was in that space of like these old things surfacing, it's like I'm able to actually maintain somewhat of a presence rather than just like running away. You know what I mean? Because I've lived life outside of my fears. I know how small they are. And I've also been able to experience overcoming fear or working through things in a way that I never gave myself the opportunity to before. So that even if my fear has some kind of like valid basis or whatever, I know that I'm capable of moving forward anyway. I can do things afraid. Being afraid doesn't make me all of a sudden incapable of anything. Oof, I needed this. I should read for me more often. I might. This channel might just be self reads. Anyway, so the two cards are the card that came out as I was talking about all that is the King of Cups. And I think that's the part when I was talking about the old limiting sort of mind, limited mind, the King of Cups. If I hold it like that, you gotta see it right. And then at the bottom of the deck was the Hanged Man. And I was like, oof, oof. That was me when I couldn't do nothing. That hangman energy. That's when I was like, I know I'm capable of more than this. I know that there's more to me than this. And I know that there's more for me to experience than this, but I can't. Every time this fear comes up, I run away. And then under the Hanged Man was the Eight of Cups. And I was like, love that. The Eight of Cups was with the Eight of Swords earlier at the split. And it's like walking away from that energy. And then it was the Ace of Pentacles, which is a whole new life, a whole new world, a whole new set of experiences because of the stagnation and all that stagnation breeds within water that I've walked away from. And behind that Ace of Pentacles is the world. And behind the world is the wheel. So it's really like turning into something new just because I don't allow these things to be the ceiling anymore. And I think that's what the Hangman is actually doing. It's like the Hangman is breaking some dark storm cloud ceiling with its foot. So it's like it's been inverted and it's like doing some rising kick thing to shatter it and to allow space for more. To not only exist in worst case scenarios, so dark that I would rather not even try. And sometimes it's nice to be reminded of stuff like that. You know what I mean? Especially when we encounter something. So I'm loving it. I'm glad it's helping you too. Okay, let me read this King of Cups. I opened the book to the Eight of Swords. Why are you trying to make Eight of Swords happen? Eight of Swords is not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I've experienced too much of what I want to allow it to. So sorry. Oh look, the King of Cups. I bring peace and harmony. That's that how all of these like twos and threes and fives added up to a six, which was that harmony, where form and function align. The King of Cups travels through his kingdom, appreciating a watery realm which brings such life and sustenance. Water's transformative properties are utterly unique. Its ability to freeze, melt, evaporate, heat, sublimate, and combine with so many elements make it the ultimate shapeshifter. The king is the master of this element. He can control and discipline his emotional viscosity, a man totally at ease with life. And that discipline came up yesterday in the general of the army, the tenacious general. He is portrayed here as an old Rastafarian shaman smoking his pipe, always in good spirits. He has great command of the animistic realm, believing in the supernatural power which organizes and animates the material universe. Hovering over the ocean on his carcraft throne, a unique creation, the decrepit, burnt out car has been upcycled into something extraordinary, reflecting his capacity to redefine and reconstitute discarded or dangerous elements into something of value. Over time, he has developed immense emotional intelligence and can access and bridge the conscious and subconscious realms. He is fully aware of his connection to the divine source. Listening calmly to its guidance, he brings a great timeless perspective to unfolding events. He is a diplomat, a wise counselor to his people, enabling his kingdom to live in peace and harmony. This same gentle, compassionate, and tolerant nature is directed toward his family, and his presence as a father is abundantly amiable, creative, and attentive without being unboundaried. Like the gift that keeps on giving, in his presence, anybody and anything can take on value. This is symbolized by the beam of light emanating from his power center, which turns the liquid in the cup to gold. Oh, I like this. Struck my ego, guys. Thank you. Or at least this is what I strive for. Sometimes I feel like it isn't. I feel like it isn't as exhausting as it might seem to always be so outwardly thinking or inwardly thinking or multi-directionally thinking. But you see, that's the light in his power center that turns the water into gold. That fills the cup. That's the upcycled car. I need both hands to like spread out the pages of this book so I can read in the creases. Wise and experienced, chilled, laid back, humorous, free spirited, and creative. He is a jovial Neptune like figure who has made his home in the worlds of land and sea. As an arts connoisseur, he appreciates the power of the arts in all their forms to convey individual and collective life stories, both as a cause for celebration and as a cathartic release and purification. He will venture into unfriendly, dark, and unpleasant places to infuse them with good humor, embodying the ideal of polishing one's mind and body to foster a spirit of harmony. An Aikido master indeed. The King of Cups suggests a calm, creative, and wise influence is at hand. There is great inner strength to be accessed, which brings with it a natural ease, grace, and joy. The unseen is seen, accepted, and beautifully expressed. Fear is dissolved in the elixir of harmony. Hey, come through! King of Cups, earthly part of water. Compassionate and kind nature, dramatic and living grandiose, receive artistic success, belief in self and others. And then I'm not going to read the reverse meaning because it didn't come out in reverse. So that little blurb was this, and then the page was all of this. So now let's do the Hangman. Oof, not the Empress, which is another 3. Not the 3 I need. I now surrender, thy will be done. We are hanging in the balance, no matter how much conscious and concerted effort we are putting into moving things ahead. It's one step forward, 2 steps back, an incredibly frustrating and disheartening experience. Depicted here is an upside down theatrical confidence trickster, an artful dodger, and raconteur. I don't know what that word means. The hanged man has lived successfully by his wits until now. Life has caught up with him, trapped, suspended upside down. He is seen hanging with a weight at his head, dangling over a precipice. The lightning that is stringing him up is symbolic of the power of nature to intercede. Life has a habit of intervening, showing us where we are out of balance to wake us up and bring us back to our senses. The drive to survive, to push our limits, to succeed no matter what, trying to control life, pushing against life, very often results in life pushing back. The unconscious will often present the imbalance in our dreams as a warning, and if we repeatedly don't listen, it will stop us in our tracks. Our health suddenly fails, or we have an accident so that we are literally forced to stop and take stock. In the artwork, the hanged man is losing the gold, the riches that have filled his pockets, the falling away of all that he has acquired and accumulated, caught by, yeah, sorry, caught by lightning. Oh wait, the coins falling out of the pockets of the hangman. Shout out to Mystery Healings. Where are they? There they are. They're all falling out of the pocket. I feel like King of Cups is such a nice energy to counterbalance this one. King of Cups can just make more gold. Like it's not that serious. In the artwork, the hangman is losing the gold, the riches that have filled his pockets, the falling away of all that he has acquired and accumulated. Caught by lightning, he is in a precarious position and should he struggle, he'll very likely come crashing down to earth. Resistance is futile. When our lives are turned completely upside down by events, we are forced to surrender. It's no time to become impatient and negative, digging deeply into failings, but rather give up the struggle. There is little we can do out there in the physical world to shape our destiny. Instead, we must go within and make peace with ourselves. Hanging upside down, life is seen differently, akin to the practice of a yoga inversion. The blood flow is reversed, flowing back to the heart. We feel it differently too. Dangling upside down, the lightning flaring at his feet, physical pain may also be a pathway into the physical body and his vulnerability. Vipassana meditation or Vipassana meditation, one of India's most ancient meditation disciplines, which uses the breath to scan the body, is powerful in reshaping the perception of pain, physical or mental, as merely a transient sensation. This too shall pass. The hangman suggests you are being forced to take time out and look at your life from a different perspective, reconnecting with your bodily intelligence and heart, leaving external concerns. Travel within, question, and ponder the great spiritual principles and laws that are in motion. Valuable lessons are there to be learned. Voluntarily sacrifice, giving up the chase of worldly goods and experiences. Significance and power may arise. The survival of the egoic self is handed over to the higher self for a selfless purpose. And then the blurb says, surrender to the unknown, sacrifice your idea of power. Allow the pause to give you perspective. Attainment of the higher self and enlightenment are within reach. Whew. Wordy, isn't it? I feel like that's a lot of sort of what I've been doing. I feel like that's a lot of what I do in general. That is a lot of what I do in general, but it's stuff that I've been doing even more so here lately. Excuse me. As I've been working to consciously intervene in subconscious programming. And I like the word programming for the subconscious because, like I said earlier, it's like whenever I would encounter a fear, whenever I would encounter something, my brain would automatically roll through like this assumption, that assumption, this experience, all previous failings. There's no hope, no future, just give up. And I feel like there was never really an opportunity, especially in the moment while I was spiraling, to be like, wait, hold up. Like, first of all, we're not even there yet. Second of all, there are things that we are capable of. Third of all, like, there are also resources. And if we need help, we can ask for it. Fourth of all, there are protections in place. Like, but that never entered that conversation as part of the spiral. And now things are changed enough that it's like even when presented some things, it's more of a conversation between the two sides of me, between the part of me that is afraid and the part of me that is more courageous or brave. And the brave and courageous part of me has been growing. so, so At the bottom of the deck is the Ten of Spades, fueling the growing fire of truth, creating space for a miracle, delving inside to go beyond. Is that a 70? No, that's 75. The 75 is the Scholar of Souls, which sort of makes sense in this context. And it's a 17, which is a star. Oh my gosh, I love that. um, there's a 14 here, a 16 here, and a 3. So that's Empress, Tower, Star, Temperance. So between the abrupt change of season and the dislodged hunk of cheese, it's a Tower and a Temperance energy. So it is kind of sort of an energy of like in holding oneself together as things are falling apart. It's this energy of it's like as something is falling, it's like the tower is crumbling and coming back together at the same time with temperance energy. And so it plays out in like as something starts to break away, there's that question of like, is this something that's worth keeping in the tower? If so, we reverse the flow of entropy in that space and bring it back into the structure. If not, we allow it to fall out because it's not meant to be here or it doesn't serve the like where we're going now, where I'm going now. It's not something that I want to continue to carry with me. You know what I mean? And it's like instead of it all falling apart at once, because that brave, strong part of me is more brave and more strong and more courageous now than it was in the past, I can more analyze things. Like I said, I can be more present in those conversations rather than completely resigning to fear and everything just sort of falling apart. So the card that was face down is the King of Clubs, where feminine and masculine meet, the conception of innocence, nesting, and preparation. I think that's the Three of Essences. And the Three of Essences is the first card that came out. Let me check and make sure. But all of this is like, it's important to me because, yeah, it's the Three of Essences. It's important to me because I don't want to get too, and I've been thinking about this lately. Um, Especially when it comes to like sovereignty and things, it's like we'll never be sovereign completely, or we'll never be completely free as long as there are things that we can't face to the point where we completely shut down and we're taken out of the game. It's like, Superman will never be invincible as long as he's kryptonite susceptible. Because then all you got to do is throw a piece of kryptonite in front of Superman and he can't go and do whatever Superman is supposed to do in order to save who he's supposed to save or whatever, right? And it's not that we'll ever necessarily like not have fear or whatever, but it's like to completely lose oneself sometimes where it's the most important to be present is to do the self a disservice. And there are things, towers, Ten of Swords, that happens to give us the ability to still work through those or to still hold at least somewhat of a presence when we're in a situation like that, which is all of the harmony and the stuff that the King of Cups comes into a space of mastering, which gives the King of Cups the ability to go into those unseen, dark, and uncomfortable places and to still maintain himself and not be lost in them. And I feel like with the energy of where feminine and masculine meet, and also with nesting and with this whole card, the conception of innocence, just like, the conception of uh, living being, it's the part where the light goes into the dark to fertilize a seed. If the light can't ever enter that space, then it's a seed that's never fertilized. At that point, it's like almost not even a seed. It's just something that has the potential to become a seed. So the King of Cups is able to seed things as the earth part of water, because it can make those journeys. Can I get do I have any oracle cards? I'm always like, what oracle cards do I have? I want some oracle cards. Yeah, some things are too heavy to carry. And for me, I've realized that some things, while heavy, are worth carrying, because it's almost like there's a spot that you reach where it no longer becomes a burden. And in my own personal life, whenever I'm really quick to drop something that's too heavy, I just end up picking it back up. And that's what the hangman was kind of sort of talking about. It's like whenever we push against life, life pushes back. But, it's as it resonates, it depends. Some things are meant to be left. Other things, although heavy, are meant to be carried. Because at a certain point they become transformed, they become transmuted, they become the catalyst that leads to the birth of something else. They become, what does Sam say, the moth beyond the butterfly. There we go. Oh, ooh. Ooh. Hold up. Oh. So the cards that came out, it's the Five of Swords and the Two of Swords. Of course, the Two of Swords. The Five of Swords, the Two of Swords, and the Moon. The Five of Swords, the Two of Swords, and the Moon. Bottom of the deck is the Princess of Wands. And under the Princess of Wands is the Queen of Pentacles, and then Temperance, and then the Prince of Wands. So the Prince and the Princess of Wands meet over Temperance and the Queen of Pentacles. Temperance and the Queen of Pentacles really being the energy, especially when it comes to Wands. It's like what we are willing to do and able to see a passion fulfilled or a desire met. Because seeds without light, like it's like a seed doesn't necessarily need light to grow. But once the seed sprouts, once it germinates, it needs light. It now needs something that it didn't need when it was below the surface, when it was underground. And if the light isn't there, although it germinated, although it sprouted, it'll quickly die, because it's the light that gives the plant enough energy to provide for itself. So in that, I feel like the Two of Swords, there's an energy of like balancing expectations, like what we're expected to give ourselves and what other people are expected to give us. And it may also be about putting ourselves in an environment, in a situation where are me, right? Because this is about me and you if it resonates, I guess. It's like it's an energy of like building something up. It's like a rainy day fund or something like that. So that when you go through challenge, when you go through difficulties, when it is stormy and rainy and outside, you can do something inside to the point where you don't feel like you lost today because of the rain and then you get gloomy or whatever. And the Five of Swords, it feels like it carries an energy that can be seen as extreme, but I don't know if it is or not. It might be, though. It's like it might be an energy of not being so quick to like go on the offensive or on the defensive. There's an energy of like restraint. It's like holding back in order to let something play out a little more to find the revelation of the truth that was hidden at sight, like on the first impression, right? It's like if you're having a conversation with someone, you should be like actively listening, engaged in the conversation, not like planning the next thing that you're going to say because of the thing that they said here. Because if they start their conversation here and they make it all the way down here, you can't accommodate for any of this that happened. And then it's like, well, what about like the other 80 to what, 75 to 60, 70, 80% of the conversation? None of that was heard because we already had the thing in mind. And it is like if you could sort of hold off a little bit, then things will be further revealed. And I'm kind of seeing that in this energy here. It's almost like there was more that that energy or that person had to offer, but if we're too quick, it gets cut down at the Five of Swords. This might be the this might be the part where I start to say stuff that I don't like or agree with, or I receive things that I don't like or agree with. Because I'm like, but I think I have gotten a lot better at not being so quick. But in this situation in particular, I'm like, well, I don't want to be so like I don't want to jump to conclusions. I don't want to be so quick. But then when things happen, it's like it plays out exactly how I feared. It's like I needed you to step up and do your job, but now I have to do it. And you're the boss. Hello? And that's why a part of me was like, well, maybe there needs to be a little bit of a shaking. Maybe there needs to be a little bit of a rumble to get somebody to see that if things don't change now, it's going to be so much worse later. But at the same time, is it my responsibility? See, that's how all this King of Swords energy effing stuff up. Instead of just like sitting back and watching things fall apart and crumble, it's like, well, is there anything that can be done to like better prepare us for this? And then I can also accept that, like, in the moment, like, these are things that I go into it with. But when I'm in the moment, when I'm having that conversation face to face, it's like it goes out the window. I don't necessarily, because then it's like the conversation goes elsewhere. There are other things to address, and then we address those things, and it's always a time thing. And so I need, What works well with the Starman? 'Cause I needed not advice because I feel like I already know what it is that I could do. Confirmation doesn't hurt though. I'll read the blurb from the book. Maybe I'll read the entire passage. I think I'm liking the book so far. Well, I'll read these. So, aw, that's so reassuring and cute. Aw, that's adorable. I'll read it in a second. So I'm just gonna read the blurbs. The Five of Swords. I must win at any cost. Battle your inner demons, the compulsion to win, keep a beneficial advantage, letting the past pile up around you, acting out of integrity. Two of Swords, I trust my ability to find my way. That's when I was like, oh. Make wise decisions, take the path of the heart despite the challenges. Consider what decisions and choices you have made in life. And then the Moon, I perceive the truth through the inner veil and its reflection. The dark reflects and distorts. Face your fears, embrace uncertainty. Pay attention to what your dreams say. Let your subconscious guide you. I feel like for me, because I know where I've been mentally, I feel like there's a chariot energy here in the background. I don't know what the chariot looks like in this deck though. It's like a wild unknown justice energy and a chariot energy. I don't know if it's the wild unknown chariot, but it feels like internally because I had this whole conversation with self last March, where um my brain is just like not connecting the dots for me to say it. But it feels like it's an opportunity for the light part of me to do something for the dark part of me. Um, in a way of like, instead of getting like increasingly frustrated at the knowing, like everybody knows that when the time comes, when the moment happens where someone needs to step up, it won't happen. And so there's a part of me that's like, well, let's just let it crash and burn. And there's another part of me that's, but then there's a part of me that's like, in order to prevent that, like, let's do something now. But then it's like, well, maybe there needs to be a little bit of kindling in order to make something come about. You know what I mean? And so it is kind of sort of like this balancing or this metering because it's like I get triggered and it happened Friday. I get triggered by the prospective outcome of the situation. But there's also a part of me that's like, well, it's a trigger that like it's something I can handle. And there's like this increasingly like I said, like the strong and brave and courageous part of me has gotten quite strong and brave and courageous. And it's like even if I had to do this, like I could handle it. I mean, I guess I would see. I would see if I can handle it. Whether or not I could actually do it, you know. And I guess it makes sense that it's like a chariot energy. I guess it makes sense that it's like the light doing something to resolve the woes of the dark because it is facing a fear in a way. And not only is it facing a fear, it's also me coming into a position that I've never really held before. It's me doing things I've never really done before, like using my voice, right? Saying something, speaking up, rather than just like waiting for things to fall apart when the situation happens. Um, Maybe that's also a thing though. With this Two of Swords, it's like being the center of the self in between these two polarities. This might be something new arising as a result of that, rather than like going from one extreme to the other, or one extreme or the other, because it is a more conscientious, like being both or taking from both, creating a new self to handle the situation. It is almost like maybe it's an alchemy energy of like, it's like if I were making a tincture or a tonic or a potion or whatever, right? And it's like pour this much of this and this much of that and that much of that and heat it up or do whatever and poof, right? There are all of these different things that I need to take with me as I embody the versions, aspects, characteristics, qualities of self to handle the situation in a way that I would feel proud of, but also in a way where something is done or something happens. And then maybe I'll have it to hang on to if I ever need it again, or maybe I'll just recreate it later if I need to. I lived a whole lot of life prolonging the inevitable. And that's when it's the balance of the self, and it's where we've been. So like I haven't necessarily been of the mind to fix something or to help something when it was falling apart. It's been my experience, it's been my pattern, it's been my habit to just sit back and watch it fall apart. Maybe I'll try to say something a little bit and it's like, well, they don't listen. Okay. It's going to fail. It's going to fall apart. And so for me, in order to bring about something new, I might have to do something different than you or someone else who watches this might have to do. Right. And what I also like about this is it's like these other sides, these other aspects here are, if they're not asleep, at least their eyes are closed. Right. Eyes closed. They're there, but up here, the eyes are open. And so it is almost, it was the moon, right? I perceive the truth through the inner veil and its reflection. It is almost this energy. It's like if we have these different mirrors, then we can use, like, from a stationary point, if we can look at the different reflections from the mirror, then we can make a mental composite of the images to complete like what it's supposed to be. Like these are all the different versions that sort of give us a piece of the truth. But again, none of them have their eyes open, and that one does. So that's like it's something that the reflection doesn't necessarily account for. So it's not necessarily going to be complete. which is why the King of Cups energy and the message of the Hangman is to allow life to come in and complete the picture. Because I think sometimes as humans, like if we have a certain conception or a certain idea of how something is going to happen or play out, we can hold so strong to it that we don't allow for anything else to happen. We don't allow ourselves to see anything else happening. And so it sort of becomes self fulfilling in a way. Um, but it's to allow for something to present its own truth as well. And so maybe truth must be revealed in order for truth to be revealed, for the reciprocation of that. And that's something that I already knew. It's like I know, but did I do it? No. Am I gonna have to? Yes. I guess. I was already planning on doing it anyway. I just need to stop prolonging it, stop procrastinating. I need to stop procrastinating. Oh my gosh. So, by the way, YouTube on the TV, it does the chapters now. So if you timestamp in the description box your videos from like if you start at 00 and then you put in the timestamps, in the video you can like select different chapters and they have it on the TV now. So I was like, what? Finally, goodness. Because now, like, if I want to watch something on my TV, like an all signs reading or whatever, and if the chapters are set up, then I don't have to like look at the timestamps on my phone and then fast forward on my TV. Queen of Diamonds came out again, and the Seven of Hearts flipped over. Speaking of wheel energy, an abrupt change of season, the vision catching up to fantasy, the filling of valleys and falling of mountains, with a favorable turn of fortune, a powerful message duly received. There's that 17 star. Bottom of the deck is a complete set of instructions, a stubborn moth reborn as a firefly, and a successful trip. Eight of Diamonds. That's the Eight of Pentacles that came out with the World card, with the Six of Pentacles at the bottom, and the Revelation edition of the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. So I did mention the energy of the moth that lies beyond the butterfly that San mentioned in her tarot video, in her Taurus video. But it's like the moth beyond the butterfly being reborn as a firefly. So it's like there's even more beyond what we thought. And that's an energy that's been coming up kind of sort of in the background, or a background energy that's been coming up here recently. It's things beyond. It's like the play beyond the play beyond the play. It's the result beyond the result beyond the result that we can sort of predict. So just outside of our realm of comprehension is something even greater. And I feel like that energy is even mirrored in this card, the Seven of Pentacles, because there are things that we do down here to cultivate something down here, but above this is this sky palace castle, and above that is something even greater. Bottom of the deck is the Prince of Cups. And the Prince of Cups is descending from a higher space to a lower one. Or it's above a space. There's the Prince of Cups. I'm gonna read both of them. I gotta go to the restroom. And then I'm gonna do this homework. Seven of Pentacles. Cups, Pentacles. Here we go. I am carefully bringing things to life. Ooh. Carefully bringing things to life. That feels like this energy. Bringing something to something. It almost reminds me of in the lights, camera, action spread. There was a lot of like realizing potential, bringing things that are in the dark into the light, like that sort of energy, like making it tangible, seeable, experientiable rather than just like thought or fantasy. The suit of pentacles is traditionally associated with manifestation and material wealth, while a broader yeah, while a broader interpretation of wealth is one in which it's kept in the three treasure chests, the body, mind, and spirit. The seven of pentacles is all about nurturing a vision. The vision catching up with the fantasy. What did that say? The vision catching up to the fantasy in the Queen of Diamonds that came out twice. A beautiful, hold up. The Seven of Pentacles is all about nurturing a vision. A beautiful rose grows from red hot molten lava up through a hole in the scorched earth skin, complete with its own ecosystem in miniature. It grows because it has been tended and lovingly willed into existence, regardless of the obvious impossibility. Yeah, that's definitely one that's been coming up. That's an aspect of the Two of Swords as well. In my own experience, I have seen things I thought were impossible become possible through small, consistent steps. Focusing intently on perfecting the next small step while simultaneously never losing sight of the greater vision, the why. The, I don't know how to pronounce this word, raison d'être. I don't know. And adjustments are made along the way. Each action grows out of the precious action, like the miraculous process of growing a baby. Just two cells multiplied through the simple consecutive process of doubling into the 2 trillion cells that makes life. The gardener pictured is gentle, accomplished, dedicated, and above all, supremely patient. He possesses the magic touch of bringing things to life in the most hostile of conditions. Life, too, can present hostile conditions out of which we must grow and nurture a vision of ourselves. Many do not pay exquisite attention to the details and fail to nurture their young, tender life force. Opportunities don't sprout and possibilities remain burned. In the distance, we see the magical beanstalk leading to a mystical city in the clouds. This represents the exponential growth of intelligence into the clouds and beyond. Intelligence now residing in the ether has grown incrementally out of the binary numerical system that was invented over 300 years ago, developing from analog to digital to atomic, eventually to spiritual technology, and back home to the epicenter of God. In us, consciousness moves in one great circle, from pure energy to atoms, to single cell entities, multi cell organisms, self consciousness, super consciousness, and back to God consciousness. The potential exists to move from ignorance to unity through the vessel of life. Understand life must be nurtured with seeds of good habits for a radiant future right now. The Seven of Pentacles indicates your vision of life must be nurtured. The situations and circumstances may not be ideal, with few skills and resources, yet with consistent, tender loving care and pruning, they will grow stronger and see daylight. The delicate shoots of ideas and possibilities will flower. Draw your fellow visionary gardeners to you, distancing yourself from people or situations which stunt your growth. Invest in learning new skills and knowledge. Each one of us deserves to grow rich meaning and purpose out of the soil of life. The blurb says, the patience and kindness required to grow and sustain a life of value and beauty. So I feel like this is pretty much ending up. I think the self reads, at least this part of the self read cycle is over. Because I feel like that's a lot of maybe tying everything together, or nicely summarizing the all of what I needed to experience outside of just one card, because I had to go through it to really get it. Now, when I go back tomorrow, we'll see. Prince of Cups, I artfully negotiate for the best solution. What? I artfully negotiate for the best solution, Prince of Cups. Oof, read me. I believe. The Prince of Cups is the archetypal knight gallant, a gentleman in every sense, honorable, considerate, valiant, and noble. Not one to relish violence and battle on any level. He prefers behind the scenes diplomacy. If he must, he will act swiftly and cleanly to achieve the best results for all. A masterful peacemaker and artful negotiator, he is always looking for the win win solution to problems, and his caring, compassionate presence can be a very welcome alternative to bloodshed. He admirably carries and balances the feminine, feeling, and receptive side of his nature, alongside the fast, focused, and actively fire side of himself. This masculine aspect ready for the call to action. That action is inclusive of his feelings, making him a fine, loyal, trustworthy, a fine, loyal, trustworthy, and supportive friend and family member. His watery temperament enables him to bring a measured, reflective pace to his activities and duties, except in the area of romantic love, where his passion can seize the day and see him leap headlong blazing. He will shift hell and high water to rescue the one he loves. Intensely romantic and sensual, he risks much heartbreak and raw pain on his path to true love. In essence, I see his character as the grail seeker, the untainted romantic where life is filled with the possibility of discovery, the manta ray, flying through the ocean, navigating the different depths, teaches us how to dig within ourselves and observe our emotions with a calm gracefulness, honoring the different levels of our being in the world around us. It takes real effort and concentration, even courage, to keep a flame of exuberance alive in our hearts. Instead of seeing ourselves adrift in a hostile world, we can look and see that everything carries a message to guide us to our most powerful possibility. This, in essence, is the elixir, the medicine, the holy grail. Not an object with miraculous powers, but rather a way of being in the world. Once you begin to see things this way, the world literally changes before your eyes. As we travel through life, it's an immense challenge not to be caught in the trap of cynicism, yet to become cynical and resigned to the way things are, or the way things are, brutally robs us of our life force. Most of us reach a point when we must consciously choose and create a discipline of consciously choosing. Albert Einstein suggested we examine the most fundamental nature of life when he said, the most important question you can ever ask is if the world is a friendly place. Every time we resign ourselves to the opposite, we leave behind the spark of life that can be astounded by something new and unexpected. The Prince of Cups, fiery part of water. This is the blurb. Rise to a challenge, attain an emotional goal, poetic and romantic. So now I don't have any excuses, do I? um, nope, I don't have them. Wait, is this it? It is it. Where are my other Lenormand cards? I don't know why. I just want a few. I'm like, I'm not dying. I'll pull a few gilded Lenormand, mystical, golden reverie, gilded reverie Lenormand cards. That's what they are, I think. I don't know what they are. So a lot of that, the how is also important sometimes. Even the King of Cups had an energy, the Seven of Pentacles had that energy of making something or growing something, creating something in a hostile situation, which is what I had the intention of doing. And it's not that I failed, but it's like it only works if everyone is willing to honor it. But maybe the approach is also important because people get triggered or whatever. I'm like, girl, just be a part of the team. You don't run. Let me stop. I did not expect this, but it's fine. I think I have reversals in here. Oh wait, maybe I don't. I don't. That one card was just in reverse. Okay. So I'm gonna end it with 1 to 2 mirror truth. These are not mirror truth. Gilded Reverie Lenormand cards by Cyril Machete. He's the one that makes the decks and then you see CM all over it. His initials. Ooh, the snake. Queen of clubs. I like this snake energy though. Because this snake energy, it almost implies it's this feeling of like if I can, whoever can shed their skin to grow larger, molting to grow bigger, we come into an energy of abundance. And the snake is also sort of like wise and cunning. It can be seen as deceptive, but I feel like it's a certain level of tact and care that may be needed or necessary. And it's not manipulation. It's what I said, it's tact. Because it's like a game of operation. You know what I mean? You got to be careful to not hit the sides and hemorrhage your patient and make the buzzer beat. Oh, look, the moon again. Oh my gosh, imagine that. So, what's this? The letter? Is that the sun? Is this the sun? Is this the letter, the sun, and the moon? Hold up, where did it go? Because they don't actually say what these are. 27 is the letter, yes. I am a document, I am a message, I am information, I am a package. Sometimes I can be an invoice, a certificate, or a test result. You can find me as your mail, a newsletter, or an award. Look around, look around me to find out more of what I am leaning toward. And then 31 is the sun. I am success. Hear me roar. I control your ego and charisma. I boost your confidence and courage. I bring victory and glory, but be careful not to get too cocky, or you will be burned by arrogance like Icarus. And then 32 is the moon. Love and romance, intuition and psychic abilities, imagination and creativity are but a few of the ideas I stand for. I reach across the sky and influence the waters. I am admired all around. I bring fame. I bring honors. Is this a test? I mean, I feel like it is, but it doesn't have to be. Not really. It's like yes and no. But everything we do sets a precedent for everything to come. The sun and the moon were also on the tension. And the moon was depicted with all of its phases and the tension as well. And the tension was an energy that could either build or destroy bridges. Um, And tension it's the thing that, like, once the bridge is built, it keeps it like taut, right? You don't want so much tension that the bridge snaps, but you want a nice amount of tension so that, like, if it's a bridge over the water, right, and the bridge dips below the water because there's not enough tension to keep it above water, then, it kind of sort of defeats the purpose of the bridge. But maybe it's an energy of how navigating this informs everything else, or will inform everything else. Because again, it sets a precedent. And especially for me, right, in this place where, at least for now, I want to remain. So that's what I got. Thanks, Cindy, for stopping in. It was fun. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. If you sat through any of these or all of these for any amount of time, I hope you get something that you, I don't know. I mean, I guess I would hope that you don't waste your time, but it's roll of the dice sometimes, ain't it? All right, I'll catch you later. Bye.